Good day, everyone. Welcome to our presentation on fractions. We will be guiding you through this topic. Fractions are a fundamental concept in mathematics that help us understand parts of the world. They represent divisions or portions of an object, much like slices of pizza. In this presentation, we will explore the key aspects of fractions, including their components, comparison, and basic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. We will also touch upon the importance of simplifying fractions for clarity. Let's dive into the world of fractions and cover the relevance in problem solving and real life situations. Alright, thank you, I'm done. Now I shall pass the mic to Teo Fann.
Thank you, Li Huan. Let's talk about fractions. Fractions are like pieces of a whole, just like slices of a delicious pizza. Imagine you have a pizza that is cut into equal slices. A fraction shows us how many slices we have compared to the total number of slices. So in a fraction, the top number is called the numerator. It tells us how many parts we have. The bottom number is called the denominator. It tells us how many parts make up the whole. For example, if we have 3 out of 4 slices, we write it as 3 over 4. Fractions are really helpful in many ways. They help us share things equally, like when we want to divide a pizza among friends. Fractions also help us measure things, like when we need to cut a rope into smaller pieces of equal length, and they even help us compare amounts, so we can see if we have more or less of something. So you can think of fraction as a special number that help us count and share parts of things, just like counting and sharing slices of a pizza or cake. Okay, thank you. Now I will pass this mic to Kar Fai.
Thank you, Teo Fann. Step 1, we start by checking the denominators. If the denominators are the same, we can compare the numerators directly. The fractions with the larger number is greater, and the fraction with the smaller numerator is smaller. For example, let's compare 3 over 4 and 2 over 4. Since both fractions have the same denominator 4, we compare the numerator. In this case, 3 is the greater than 2, so we can say that 3 over 4 larger than 2 over 4. Step 2. If the denominator are different, we need to find a common denominators. To do this, we need to find a number that both denominators can divide evenly into. Then we convert both fractions to have the common denominator. For example, let's compare 1 over 3 and 1 over 2. The common denominator can be found by multiplying 3 and 2, which gives us 6. We convert 1 over 3 to 2 over 6 by multiplying the numerator and denominator by 2, and 1 over 2 to 3 over 6 by multiplying the numerator and denominator by 3. Now we compare the numerator. 2 is smaller than 3. Therefore, we can say that 1 over 3 is smaller than 1 over 2. Okay, thank you. Now I will pass the mic to Hao Xuan.
Thank you, Kar Fai. Let's talk about improper fractions and mixed numbers. An improper fraction is a fraction where the number is larger than the denominator, like 6 over 4. On the other hand, a mixed fraction is a combination of a whole number and a proper fraction. If we have an improper fraction and want to convert it to a mixed number, here's what we do. First, divide the numerator by the denominator. Second, the quotient becomes the whole number part of the mixed number. Third, the remainder becomes the numerator of the fractional part. Fourth, keep the same denominator. For example, if we have 7 over 3, we divide 7 by 3. The quotient is 2. So that becomes the whole number part. The remainder is 1, which becomes the numerator of the fractional part. Since the original fraction had a denominator of 3, we keep the same denominator. So 7 over 3 becomes 2, 1 over 3. Now when we have a mixed number and we want to convert it into an improper fraction, here's what we do. Multiply the whole number by the denominator, then add the product to the numerator, then write the sum as the numerator, and finally keep the same denominator. For example, if we have 2 over 5, we multiply 3 by 5, which gives us 15. Then we add the numerator 2 to get 17. Since the original fraction had a denominator of 5, we keep the same denominator. So 2 over 5 becomes 17 over 5. Okay, thank you. Now I will pass this mic to Jin Xuan.
Thank you, Hao Xuan. A fraction has two parts, the numerator and the denominator. The numerator tells us how many parts we have, and the denominator tells us how many parts make up the whole. Fractions help us in many ways. They allow us to share things equally, measure objects, and compare amounts. For example, if we have 3 out of 4 slices, we write it as 3 over 4. To compare fractions, we have 2 steps. If the denominators are the same, we compare the numerators. The larger numerator is greater and the smaller numerator is smaller. If the denominators are different, we find a common denominator. We convert both fractions to have that common denominator, then compare the numerators when adding fractions. If the denominators are the same, we add the numerators. For example, 1 over 4 plus 3 over 4 equals 4 over 4, which simplifies to 1. When subtracting fractions, if the denominators are the same, we subtract the numerators. For example, 4 over 5 minus 3 over 5 equals 1 over 5. To multiply fractions, we multiply the numerators together and the denominators together. For example, 2 over 3 multiplied by 3 over 4 equals to 6 over 12, which simplifies to 1 over 2. When dividing fractions, we take the reciprocal of the second fraction and multiply. For example, 2 over 3 divided by 1 over 4 becomes 2 over 3 multiplied by 4 over 1, resulting in 8 over 3. Fractions allow us to work with parts of a whole and perform different mathematical operations. Okay, thank you. Now I'll pass the mic to Li Huan.
Thank you, Jin Xuan. So, thanks for participating. So now we know in conclusion that fractions help us understand parts of a whole in various contexts. Keep exploring math and applying fractions in real life situations. Thank you for your involvement. Reach out for further assistance. Alright, thank you so much.